Cari amici sportivi, welcome yet to another edition of the International Break Milan Weekly Podcast, where we'll talk everything Milan, even when they don't play, you know. Stevie P, Vinny T, always faithfully here every Monday or / Tuesday, no matter where you're listening. And now we're on the Spotify machine. Did you guys have Spotify? And yes, we're not professionals.
Nor do we pretend to be.
How was your week, Steve? We had international break.
Very nice week.
We saw Milan players scoring all kinds, all over the place. Piontek, Çalhanoğlu today con l'assist alla rovesciata.
Rovesciata.
Alla rovesciata.
Speaking of rovesciata, it seems like everybody in my house is rovesciating.
How come?
Sickness.
Regurgitating.
The
gastro. First, guys, I would like to start off by apologizing. Guys, we got scolded hard last week. Presidente was not a happy president. So we're going to start off because he caught us. We didn't read throughout the whole presidential points. And surprise, this week, we still haven't read the presidential points. We'd like to wish a congratulations to fellow Milan club admin, Mario. Mario, with his new Milanista in the world, brought in a little girl into the world, so congratulations to him. Sorry, Presidente. Mario was, I think Presidente was more worried or more frustrated.
More
insulted than Mario, so Mario, this one's out for you. But guys, this is what happened throughout the week, and Steve would like to he would like to paint you a picture on how the points came to be this week, and you know how we got our guest as well. But Presidente was not happy. Steve, please put us in perspective.
So, guys, Presidente, of course, like Vinny mentioned, was not happy. As he was in the basement again, as usual, he was just frustrated at us. So, basically, taking the pieces of paper from his spiral Hilroy copybook, where all this magic is written down, he got in some kind of like anger mode, right? And he went back to his days in the clubs. In the clubs, because he was a high roller. He was just not il presidente in the club. He was the presidente.
I don't know, as a high roller.
Once he would get to the club, he would take out his corduroy jacket, maroon brown, and he would have big collar shirt, hair coming out, canotier always a little bit fully visible.
But what year?
It was the 80s.
But isn't that what people do in the 70s?
This is how the Presidente would roll.
Oh, okay. Sorry. No need to.
As he was in the club, and
Madonna's playing in the back.
He tried not to make the music hit his bones, but he couldn't help it. The shoulders would start to move. He would start the sprinkler, and everybody would do the sprinkler because Presidente, he always waters the jardin.
He would spread that crowd just like Moses parted the seas.
Oh yeah, and it would be he would, sometimes he would even start the Congo line, but then he would want to have a drink. Presidente is not strong with the alcohol.
We all know that, guys.
So he's the only one in the club who would be able to order a pear juice with milk on the rocks, slightly stirred, not shaken.
Slightly
stirred, so that the milk would go with the pear juice and congeal.
So if he had to make a round, what would he buy?
No rounds for everybody. No. Presidente doesn't roll with the rounds. Come on.
And this is how, so reminiscing about the good old days, this is how the presidential points came by.
And he would unbutton the third button, and he would groove it.
And as Madonna put it very simply, he got into the groove. And thank you, Steve, for once again putting us in perspective. And guys, who are we to doubt your word?
No one doubts. No.
So, Presidente, that was our apology to you. And we're going to continue being exactly who we are, and this is what makes the success of this podcast. I believe, again, over 1,000 listens last week. Look at us, right?
Let's get to 2, people. Let's get to 2.
So we have guest this week. So I worked for Milan, no, sempre Milan, and I'm gonna go pull out all the stuff over here. We're gonna open up the presidential points, and because all very nicely written. His name is Madison, and we're gonna call him right now. He's from Detroit.
Il s'agit d'un appel interurbain.
We are calling long distance, ladies and gentlemen.
See, we're multilingual, a bit of Italian, a bit of French, a bit of.
Hey guys, how's it going?
What's going on live from Detroit, Rock City? That's what they call it from over there. The land of the Red Wings, the land of the Tigers.
Motor City, USA.
Motor City, then the wrestling, there's the Motor City Machine Guns and ROH, back in the day. Madison, welcome to the Milan Weekly Podcast. How are you?
Thank you. It's a wonderful time to be speaking with you guys. I think that's the most nice things I've heard said about Detroit in one sentence, so I appreciate that.
Oh, you're very well. We're very nice people. We're Canadians, we're nice.
We do our research, Madison.
we do our research, yes.
That's true.
We Googled it. So I was telling our listeners that you do work for Sempre Milan Writing. Why don't you, this is the segment where you get to plug yourself, right? Tell us a bit about yourself, what you do, where we can find you, and how you became a Milan fan.
Yeah, so I'll tell you guys a little bit more about Sempre Milan. We are pretty much like a news-based site, and we look for news to write about. We write exclusives. We've interviewed a few people who work at Milan. It's a lot of fun. We've probably got 10 writers who write for us from people all around the world. It was started by Oliver Fisher as a high school project when he was like 16 or 17, and it just blew up. So they've been going on for about, I think, 3 or 4 years now. I joined them about 2 years ago. And then this past fall, I was like, hey, can I join you guys on the podcast? And they're like, absolutely. So now I record the podcast with Anthony and Oliver. We actually just got done recording about 2 hours ago. So I asked everyone to try and give it a listen. We got quite the following base, and it's a good podcast. It's a lot of fun.
Definitely, guys. And where could we be where people can catch that online?
Yeah, it's on iTunes and Spotify, along with our website. So if you guys go over there, SempreMilan.com on Twitter. We post it Tuesday or Wednesday whenever I get around to editing it. And you guys can listen to it there or on the past two platforms, iTunes and Spotify. And why I love AC Milan. Around the 2010 World Cup, I really started to get into soccer. And just before that, I started playing FIFA when Ronaldinho was on AC Milan. And I'm a huge Ronaldinho fan, so he's pretty much the one who got me to like AC Milan, even though he was only there for about a year and a half or 2 seasons. And I've stuck with him ever since through thick and thin.
And that's what, whether it be simple, elaborate, or love for Milan. He does a podcast about Milan, we do as well, and that's what it's all about. There's no competition. It's just like brothers around the world, Milanistas around the world, bleeding the red and black, and just, speaking with passion. And that's what it's all about, right? There, Madison, whether you're from Detroit, you're from Montreal, you're from Japan, anywhere around the world. This is what it's all about, and we're going to get straight into it, to the presidential points. So his first presidential point, and he calls this, and then there were 10. He says, Milan currently sits in fourth with 10 games to go. Now that a week has gone by since the derbies, let's look at things objectively. What is your level of confidence in Milan finishing top 4 to end the season, and why? So, we do have 10 games left. Let's go. Steve, I know we were saying Io Ci Credo last time before we let Madison answer this one very quickly. Are you still in the same frame of mind? We might not get third, but we're making Champions League top 4. What do you say?
I am confident that they will be able to get a Champions League spot, whether it will be third or fourth. There's 10 games left. The derby was a hard pill to swallow for myself. Mm-hmm. I'm still really pissed off. I hope that it came at a good time, to be very honest with you, where we unfortunately did not show up for the derby, like we said last week. But
you gotta let it go, Steve. You gotta let it go. The anger.
I'm trying. It's very hard. It's very hard to let it go. But
you
there
believe.
is 10 games left, and I still do believe, and I think Just looking at the schedule, Inter do have a tough schedule. Lazio as well. But I believe that Milan, if they play their game and they get over this derby mishap, I'm going to call it a mishap, I think that we can get third or maybe fourth. It will not be as convincing as we think, and let's face it.
Yeah.
You know, we are the team that we are, but in this Champions League race, you do need a bit of luck, and I think Milan have had some of that luck, and I hope it continues to the rest of the season, so we get this We need the Champions League. Not we hope, we need
we need the Champions League, and you know what it would be for money wise, or just to get us back on the the top 16 teams in the world. You know, we were talking about last week, Madison, that everybody was pissed off after the derby, losing third spot. But I mentioned, nobody at the beginning of the year, if would have told you like, oh, by the way, by the second derby we're gonna be like battling for third spot, everybody would have taken that. Where's your stance? Do you are you like with Steve? Do you still believe, or is it going to be ugly, or you believe in third or fourth spot?
Yeah, I definitely think that we're going to qualify for the Champions League. And I definitely think that we can push for third place, because if you look at Inter's remaining schedule, they have Lazio, Atalanta, Roma, Napoli, and Juve. There is no way that they're going to collect 15 points from those games. And I'm willing to bet that they're going to lose to Juve and Napoli. So they're going to drop games. And then our two hardest games are going to be Lazio and Juve. We're going to, I hope, at least get a point from Lazio. If not, that could be a huge drop in points. And I think since we lost the derby, we have to get a result against the Juve. And I think that's probably going to come in a 0-0 draw. I don't think that there'll be many goals scored in that one. And our defense has to come back. Up until the Inter game, we had let in, I think it was 5 goals since the start of 2019, and we were the best defense in the top 5 leagues in Europe. And then we go and play the derby against our top rival and let in 3 goals. Our defense has to be able to bounce back and stay mentally strong and not get soft, because this is the part of the season that gets very important. Then Roma have Napoli, Inter, Juve, and Sassuolo. So both Inter and Roma have had, Inter as of late, but Roma has not had a very impressive season. So I'm willing to bet that they're going to drop points as well. So I definitely think that fourth place, we will get fourth, but I think we can push for third and hopefully finish above Inter, because I don't know the last time that we were able to do that.
Yeah, I think we're all on the same side, and in the end, I don't care if it's third or fourth. As long as we get that Champions League spot, and I think we're debating even I don't care if we even have to get knocked out, and it's money, right? We need that money. People want to talk about Bakayoko, Riscato, 35 million. We have to sell here, guys. We need that money. No matter. I know it's hard to cheer on, thinking with a business head on, and it's no choice. Just like here, the Canadians saying, if we make it to the playoffs and get swept by Tampa, what's the point? You want to make the playoffs and just make yourself some money. And that's what it comes down to.
Well, we do have some tricky fixtures against Fiorentina and Torino that are going to be tough as well.
Yeah, I don't want to hear anybody saying, we have the easiest of the schedules between. No. All games are do or die. We know this Milan is capable of blunders against lower tier teams. So please, guys, don't take anything lightly. We just got to win as many games coming this Saturday, right? Yeah. We got the game on this Saturday. Point number 2.
Absolutely.
Talking about the international break, saying everybody hates international break, but it feels like it came at the right time for Milan, as some players can use the rest. He's talking about if he's been following the Euro, but I wanna change up the question. Let's talk about the international break. Let's talk about what we've seen from the Milan players, right? Especially what I would like to talk about is, we had Piontek come on first game as a sub, came out and scored the game winner. We've had Paquetá score his first goal in the Verde Oro for Brazil. And I think mostly taking away from all this would be the Chalona.
The dog in the background.
And the dog in the background. We got a dog from Detroit. Everything's good over there? You're getting attacked? Are you okay?
Yeah, there's probably an animal in the backyard or something.
Good times. So basically, what I want to ask you guys is that obviously I don't think any of us watched the Turkey games, but Çalhanoğlu scoring, assisting today, but playing in a different position. Should we take this as a sign to Gattuso? Okay, so where do you guys stand on this? Would you try and see the play in a different? Because the last game against Inter, when we pulled them back, he played better. He's playing better with these games against Turkey. Now, do you try to do this change 10 games? Do you take that risk, Steve, for you, like 10 games, remaining 10 games, or do you go with what's been working so far?
Look, he's had a tough season, playing, obviously, with some off-the-field issues.
Yeah.
Now, has he had some good games? Yeah. But he still had a bad season.
Yeah.
Now, with Turkey, you see him more centrally and more in a midfield role.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's time to, let's assess the player for what he is.
Yeah.
He's a midfield type of player. He's going to need to be surrounded by ball winners. Yes, he hustles when he plays for Milan. I give him that. But let's try to put him in a position where he can be the most productive, and I think these games with Turkey have seen him produce.
He's been like, it seems to a bit more natural. How about you, Madison? Would you, seeing the way he played the last couple of games with Turkey, do you even risk trying to play him in a position where he hasn't been played with Milan for all this time, or do you stick with what's been proven to have worked so far?
Yeah, that's a tough question because, whenever I talk to Oliver and AJ, we always talk about Çalhanoğlu's best position. And when I saw him, when I saw he got an assist and a goal in his last game, I was really impressed because he really has not showed that grit this season with AC Milan. And I keep everything the way that it's been going because if you have to move his position, that means that it's going to move someone else's position, and it's just going to change up our entire flow. I don't think Çalhanoğlu is the right person to build the entire team around.
Oh, okay. So because, even if we have to play him in midfield and he becomes a revelation, you guys, we still have Bonaventura,
Mm-hmm.
we have, different... there's gonna be too many keys in the midfield, so it's hard
I
to
just think
say.
that with the point of the season that we're in, and because it's such a tight race for the top four, and 10 games to go, I just don't think that right now is the right time to start experimenting with different positions. If they do it in practice and he looks amazing, maybe do it against one of the lesser teams. But even like you guys said earlier, those are still do or die games. Those games we have won 1-0 and gotten a goal in the last 10 minutes, and so I don't know. It's a tough call. I'm happy I'm not the coach.
Yeah, definitely.
Does he have a question about Paquetá?
No, he only had two. His only question is that do you follow and do you think it's do you put on them to evaluate players both in regards to their form for their club and for their value in the mercato?
Wow, what a stupid question. I'm gonna touch on Paquetá.
Okay, go ahead.
Don't follow the Euro 2020 as closely in regards to Milan players. My grandparents were Hungarian, so I like to watch the Hungary side, and they've been a little exciting lately. They beat Croatia, actually, earlier on in the week. But I think it's definitely very important to evaluate the players based on how they play with their national team, because if a player can play both well with their national team and the club team, their value is going to go up a lot. And a player I think of, Messi, who's just phenomenal for Barcelona, but they lost to Venezuela earlier this week when he was on international duty, and he just doesn't always show up for the national team. But if Barcelona ever sold him, he'd be the most expensive player ever to be sold. So I think it goes, there's some give and take there, but I think for the average player, if they're fantastic for both club and country, their value would definitely rise.
So you see what he did there, Madison. You came out and said it was a stupid question, but he still answered because I think he's afraid. He's afraid that if president he doesn't answer the questions, he's never gonna get invited back. You
Yeah,
know,
but we're 20 minutes in, so we're gonna give Madison some time to make fun of Presidente.
Yes.
But I want to touch a little bit on Paqueta because I think this young player here, and I watched a bit of the game of him playing in Brazil just because I was very interested to see what they were gonna do. Yes, it was a friendly. Yes, it was against Panama. But I think, and this is just me, my opinion, everybody can kill me if they want. I think it's time to take a little bit of pressure off Paqueta, play him a little bit closer to goal, with a little bit of less responsibility defensively, and bring out some of this creativity.
I know it was one of the points that some of us asked on the Ask of Vinny Steve, but yeah, I think maybe you're saying as a trequartista, make him play a bit.
I think he has the vision. I think he has the pace. I think he has the skill. He's gonna need some time. Is it a gamble? Yes. Is it working now where he's playing right now? I could say yes and no, because he's had some good games and it's the past couple of games he's looked either tired or confused, or the game is getting
taking nothing away from his performances. I have nothing bad to say for a guy to adapt. Guys, you know that Serie A is probably one of the hardest leagues to adapt to, and he just seemed to come on in and go from over there. Your impressions maybe of Paqueta so far there, Madison?
Yeah, I think you guys hit the nail on the head. I think he's a very creative player, and I would love to see him play in a more creative position. Because in the game against Inter, they just ran him down. You know, like he was just not coming back to defend. And Çalhanoğlu had to make up for that by dropping back. And I just feel like it looked like it threw off our entire midfield. But he said that the left side of the midfield is his preferred position. And when I think about it, I mean, he played an entire season in Brazil, came over in December, started right away. Like he had no time. Well, he practiced, but he couldn't come on as a sub because of our injury situation. And so between moving across the world, starting in the new league, after finishing the season, you know, a month before, he just got to be physically and mentally drained because he doesn't speak Italian. I'm sure, like he can pick it up, but I would like to see him finish up the season strong, and then maybe start to mess with his position next season. I don't want to see them mess with the position or the formation too much this season, only because we've looked so good so far. Unless, you know, I mean, Çalhanoğlu's played in the midfield for us before, so unless you switch them two and put him up on the left wing, that'd be an option, I think. But I don't want to see too much switching around because that's when you start to tread in the water. And
yeah, definitely at this point, like Steve was saying, maybe in training or you're up at 2-0, 3-0 against
right.
Spal or something like that. So yeah,
absolutely.
But definitely things to watch. We had on a little lighter note, we had the Milan Glory this was it Wednesday, I believe, or was nice to watch. You had all the
so the weekend.
It was this weekend. Yeah, I'm all over. I see this international break, Steve. It screws me all up, man. It screws me. I mean, I just saw one thing. I watched
very
the extended.
Easy. After Friday.
Yes.
It's Saturday.
Okay, got you. I just wanted to say one thing. I was watching the highlights. It was like a 10-minute highlight on YouTube, and Inzaghi gets a cross in, and he's got an easy header. No, Pipo's going for the bicycle kick. He's still got it. Gattuso trying to tackle everybody, still there. I just loved it. I don't know if you were able to catch it and how it made you feel there. I don't know if you were able to. Was it even on live TV? Unless you
it
have
was
to
on
stream.
DAZN.
It was on DAZN. On the. So I don't know if you were able to catch that Milan Liverpool game.
I did not catch it. I actually don't think it was on in the United States. But I did watch both of the highlights that you're talking about of Gattuso going in for all the tackles and the Inzaghi bicycle kick. And it was just, those were fun to watch because you could tell that they wanted to win, but they're also having fun out there.
Having a great time. And I believe Dida is 5 years younger than what he used to be. Like a lot of these guys just look exactly the same, but just having a good time. And Liverpool wanted to win.
Pancaro. We had a Pancaro sighting.
Pancaro was there. It's just like Ancelotti. Was he smoking on the bench, Ancelotti? Maybe it was they got caught from over there. But I like these little games like this. But in the end, guys, it's all fine and dandy. We don't want to be living in the past. It's beautiful to see them like this. But guys, just the way people make fun of the Canadians fans here. Oh, you guys always talk about your 24 cups, just like us. We always talk about our 7 Champions League. It's great, but we need to look to the future, and that's what I wanna get into. But it's still a nice little game to watch. I don't know if it was for charity or just for just like that.
I hope it was for charity.
Hopefully, it was for charity. Number 4. According to Corriere dello Sport, Lucas Biglia is looking to extend his contract with Milan. Currently expires in June. I like that. According to Corriere dello Sport, Biglia is looking to extend. No, he's looking to, like, you know what? No, I don't want to extend my contract. I'm good, you know. Steve, if you were Leonardo, would you consider doing this? And if so, why?
I would consider doing it if the player understands what his role will be with the team going forward.
Thank you.
We've seen it with Montolivo, where unfortunately for 7 hard years of this banter era, basically this player was able to manipulate his way onto the pitch and slow the development of other players. It set us back a long time. Mm-hmm. And I'm just going to give you an example. Someone like Jose Mauri, who I'm not saying is the next coming of the midfield gem or general that we're looking for, but he didn't get those chances because Montolivo wanted to play and was signed to a contract and was attached to Galliani, attached to Berlusconi, and he played. Now, Biglia was out for a significant amount of time. Bakayoko resurrected his career after I screamed at him and made fun of him for at least 4 to 5 podcasts, which seems to be the stance that I'm taking with all the players. And we were able to survive without Biglia. Now, is he an important player? I think he is, just because of the experience that he has in Serie A. I'm not gonna say the big experience in games because I don't think he's played a lot of Champions League. He plays on and off with Argentina, but I think he is a calming factor in the midfield, different than Bakayoko, different than Kessie. Yes, if I'm Leonardo, yes, I want to re-sign him at my price and under my conditions.
I'm with you at my price and my conditions, and you know what, guys, we keep on talking about Champions League. You're gonna need a bench, and it's not a whole. No offense to Jose Mauri, it's not a Jose Mauri on the bench that's gonna take you through Champions League. So having a guy like Biglia or be able to start, rotation. How about you, Maris? Where do you stand on Kessie? Would you resign him, yes or
no? Biglia.
Sorry, mi scusi.
That's all right. Yeah, I mean, like you guys said, it depends on if he knows his position or not in the team. We're playing in 3 competitions this year, or next season. Hopefully playing in 3, knock on wood. But if he understands his position on the team, he's going to be starting in one of the 3 competitions for sure. I would re-sign him, but, he's just been so injury-prone. So it depends on how much we're re-signing him for. I don't think you can let a player like that walk away on a free. So unless you re-sign him with the intent of selling him, I definitely re-sign him because you can't let one of your strongest midfielders, when healthy, walk away. Because I think our biggest fault in the past, 5 or 6 seasons is in order to buy players, you sell players. So our depth has been very weak. And we need to start building depth if we want to be serious contenders in any of the 3 competitions that we'll be playing in next season, because you can't start the same starting lineup in 3 competitions, because then you're going to have what always happens with us. You're going to get injured by December, January, and, the rest of the season is shot because of that.
Yeah, that's a very good point. So we're all in agreement, as long as we're not signing him for $10 million a year, but definitely cool, calm, collected kind of guy. Would you have him on the bench? But Steve, you're saying to know your role, right? Like The Rock used to say, know your role and shut your mouth. but in the end, he needs to know this is what your job is going to be, and he needs to accept that. And I'm still with that whole fiasco with Kessie. I hope that's being, because that's not something. If he had anything to do with that, if he's the one that instigated, and now we gotta believe what it is. To me, it's still something they need to resolve. But that's just my personal opinion. Last point, and I was reading this point, Steve, and I'm reading this, and I'm like, where does he get this kind of information? And then I remember, to me, it's like, Presidente wants to make sure that all the people that are casual fans of Milan, that when they listen to the podcast, they know everything. They know all about every aspect of Milan, right? Whether it be in the front office and the back office. So the Gazidis is re-elected.
Presidente is always in the back.
Milan CEO Ivan Gazidis has been re-elected to the European Club Association Executive Board. He has to put in all the words in there. The sole independent body representing European football clubs. This is a move that gives Milan some power on the political side. Speaking of which, it has been rather quiet between Milan and UEFA in regards to financial fair play. So, question, since no hearing date has been set for the Tribunal Arbitral du Sport, or in English, President, everybody knows what the Tribunal Arbitral du Sport is. Are you confident this will be settled out of court and Milan can be granted a longer time period to balance the books? This is a kind of interesting point, Steve, because we haven't heard very much, since this whole fiasco that happened at the beginning of the year. Now, we spent $70 million. There was this date, that we had a couple of years to balance the books. You have to balance, I think they gave us, 3 years instead of 4?
We spent $70 million on 2 players.
Yeah.
PSG probably spent $70 million on aqua frizzante.
You have to stop.
Sparkling water for the bench.
You have to. But Steve, stop talking about PSG. Stop talking about Man City.
You cannot stop talking about it. The financial fair play is for everybody. It's not only to attack Italian teams like Inter got attacked and like Roma got attacked. That's why UEFA is not saying anything. Because if you start with Milan, it's going to open a can of worms for everybody else. So it could be Gazidis. They had no choice but to elect him there. They want to keep Elliott on their good side. Because Elliott is bigger than UEFA.
But I think it's a good thing. I think he's a...
Manchester City have golden ping pongs in their ping pong table.
Steve, you're like that kid that when he gets called out on something, you're pointing a finger. Yeah, but he did this. Yeah,
I'm not pointing out the finger. I'm saying you have to treat everybody equally. We spent $70 million. PSG spent $299 billion and still haven't won jack shit. Nothing.
That's a good point.
Zero. They signed Neymar, they signed Mbappe, and they won nothing. Nothing. Nothing.
Madison, do you think this could be settled out of court? Milan be granted a longer time? Do you think Gazidis is the right man for the right position?
Yeah, I agree with mostly what you guys said. I don't really care what happens with Manchester City and PSG because they have so much power. I feel like they're going to get away with whatever we want or they want. And so we just got to concentrate on ourselves because if not, you guys sound pretty stressed about it. It's just going to cause you a lot of unwanted stress, But also, like what you guys said, Elliott management is huge. You do not want to pick a bone with them. These are guys who loaned money to Argentina to build a naval ship. And when Argentina didn't pay them back, they went down and took that ship because, they owed them the money. And I think that Elliott management is doing stuff, not in the news, talking with UEFA, and I think that they're either going to give us longer to balance the books or just drop the entire thing. I think within the next 4 to 5 years, financial fair play is going to be completely gone, and I wouldn't be surprised if Elliott management has something to do with that because they are very powerful in the world of finances, and financial fair play is just such an outrageous thing. It's not fair to any of the smaller clubs who want to try and make it big. As you can see with PSG and Manchester City, who got bought out by billionaires and somehow have $600 million sponsorship fees, just going to the table. But I think it's going to get extended, to go back towards your question. And I'm pretty hopeful that him being reelected is going to help out as well.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. But guys, you know what I just realized? The financial fair play is like the VAR. We know it's there, but what are the rules? Who dictates what? And we have no idea. We have no idea. So in the end, I think we have the right person in place, and I think we're gonna get some sort of extension and get. In the end, it comes down to one point, as we were saying at the beginning of this podcast. We need to make Champions League. We need that money. At least to solidify our stance, and now we can work out an equal payment plan.
PSG wins the French league by 40 points every year. If we assemble a team of Milan podcasts, we're going to invite Sempre Milan, we're going to make the guys play whatever position they want. I will be the star striker.
Yes, of course.
You will play in nets.
Yes.
We'll invite some other people, whatever podcast, the Serie A sit-down guys. The Serie A show. We'll even take the Snake Nima, and we build a team. We'll take Stereo Serie A guys, the Cubani guys from the Cubani and Donato from Toronto. We'll make an 11-a-side podcast team. We will finish third place in the French league.
So Madison, you're in. You wanna come off the bench? You wanna be our
No, he's starting.
He's starting. Madison's starting. Well, what's your preferred position there?
Oh man, probably a midfielder.
He sounds like a central defensive midfielder. He's like a Bakayoko.
Yeah,
he's over there. He's got the strong hold.
Exactly. I don't want to compare myself to Bakayoko because I probably make myself look real bad. But his position for sure.
Well, there we go. So you got a starting spot. Before we let you go, please again let us know where we can find you if they want to listen to the Sempre Milan podcast. And this is your again, plug yourself. This is when, like in wrestling terms, put yourself over.
It's been great talking with you guys. You guys are a lot of fun. You guys can go ahead and find me on Twitter at Madison_DT. And you guys can find the Sempre Milan podcast on our website at sempremilan.com or on Twitter at sempremilan.com. That's where we also post all of our articles. And you can subscribe on either iTunes podcasts or Spotify, whichever your preferred streaming service is.
All right, guys. So you guys check that out.
Before we let Madison go,
yes,
can you give him a sneak preview of Presidente's song in the club?
I can't. I don't know if he can hear. I wouldn't be able to hear it. I can't cut him off. That's the problem.
So he's gonna have to listen. Madison, you're gonna listen to Presidente's song from the club.
Yeah, we put it in perspective where he was reminiscing about his days in the club, where he was, he thought he was dressed as like it was in the 70s, but it's actually the 80s. You should have a nice little entertaining. Should be up tonight on YouTube. If not, we're gonna tag you tomorrow. You should have a good time listening to that.
All right, sounds good.
Have yourself a fantastic evening, and we'll talk soon, my friend.
Forza Milan.
Forza Milan.
All right, sounds good.
Have a good one. Ciao.
How the YouTube people, this mic here makes me look like... Is it the mic? No, it's the zipper.
It's the zipper. What are you doing over there?
It makes it look like I have like a little...
So...
zipper pinch.
So basically, because we have some questions to go through, right? We're gonna see if we can get inspired to call Tommy about something, because we don't really have. And guys, Tommy. If we call him and we just get him to talk, we're gonna be here for another half word. But Steve, you, as you are my friend, right? What are friends for? So we're gonna play as we read the questions of the Twitter. And thank you, Madison, for joining us. Laugh from Detroit.
What a nice guest. Detroit.
Huh? Detroit, very nice. He's got not too much of the American accent.
Detroit, Michigan.
Detroit, Michigan, yes.
He's going for the Wolverines in the madness. The madness.
The who?
March Madness.
Oh, yeah, there we go. So you guys using the Ask Vinny and Steve hashtag. And once, I think, Adriano, he's on to something. He knows I go to latest, so he always posts at the end.
Last one.
He wants to be... Buonasera, Milan Weekly Pod. Always so respectful. Uno bello giovanotto, come would you call him? Pezzi di pane. Seeing that you guys asked your guests how they've become Milan fans, the magic question now is how did the two of you become fans? Also, who's both of your all-time favorite Milan players and coaches and why that is? Now, Adriano, I'm a little disappointed. I'm not gonna lie.
That's a generic question.
Not that it's a generic question, but we've told our story.
Yeah.
Not only did we say it live on cable television here, we've said it in the past, but we're still gonna tell you because maybe you were busy that time. You know, Steve has a much more entertaining story than mine. Mine goes back to like the mid to late '80s when I used to go across the street to my cousin Johnny's house. And he would have all these posters that his
And
uncles.
Johnny, it does have a question tonight, Johnny.
Yes, he does have a question, Johnny.
It's a
And
goddamn stupid question, but he has a question.
I remember seeing posters of the Maldinis, the Shevchenko, the Maldinis, the Van Bastens, the Hulits. I'm like, what is this? This is Milan, and it all came from over there.
But Johnny's like Berlusconi because Johnny was rich.
Yeah, that's true.
Johnny's rich.
So he used to get all the stuff from the Milan, the uncles from Milan, and that's my story. But Steve, in a nutshell, which is a lot better than mine, I'm gonna let him tell you the story.
Yeah, so for me, guys, my aunt is a nun, was a nun, she passed away, but she was a nun in a convent in Milan, and she basically knew that my father was a Juventino, and she was in Milan, so being at the convent, obviously she was a Milan fan, she had no choice, and she sent me over my first, not even a jersey, it's like some warm-up lotto thing that I still have. Lotto, remember, I'm going back to Lotto, guys.
That's classic.
And it was like a sweatshirt. I don't even know what it was. I don't even know what it was. It was like a warm-up sweatshirt there with a little note saying that Il piccolo diavolo deve tifare il diavolo.
Guys,
That's from the nun. So it was an epiphany. And
divine
intervention.
and that's why he's a Milan. And obviously, guys, it's such a fantastic story from over there. So, he was asking favorite Milan player and coach. Player, guys, it's obviously going to be from those days, be the Maldinis. Yes, for me, the one that's closest to heart other than Maldini, because it's Seedorf. For me, it was always Seedorf. I have 2 jerseys of him. I don't know what it was about Seedorf. It's just that Il Professore, the class that he used to bring, and always smiling, and I'm still mad they ruined him. I really am still mad. To me, it would be Seedorf. Coach-wise, Ancelotti. I think that's the easy way out.
Yeah. Ancelotti is my favorite coach of all time. I really like what he did with Milan. He reinvented them. He reinvented players like Pirlo. And it takes a special person to take someone like that and put him out of position and just change his career. So that's spectacular. Did he have a fantastic team? Of course. Player, I'm going to go, Maldini is really someone, that I really liked. I like Baresi as well.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed the sweeper position. I did not get to see him very long. I remember seeing him the 1994 World Cup when it was almost over for him. But player that really, really just dropped my mouth was Kaká. Unbelievable.
There's no wrong answers here.
There's no wrong answer. Kaká, and for me, the 2 is Kaká and Sheva.
Sheva can't go wrong. So there's your answer from where? Colin from Milan Club Dublin. Good evening, guys, or should I say good morning? Paquetá is a trequartista. We'll get to break the mold. So we're talking about that before.
Me and you, Colin, were number 1.
I think we were standing on. We like the idea, but you gotta pick. You gotta pick your spot.
But you gotta roll the dice sometimes, man. If he's gonna bring you some goals and he's gonna play in a position where he has less pressure, I say it's time to unleash the trequartista. We haven't had one in like 8 years. We were playing Urbi Emanuelson as a trequartista with Allegri. Allegri put him as a trequartista.
From left back to trequartista.
Yeah, so I don't think rolling the dice on Paquetá is going to be such a big deal.
I think it's rolling the dice at this time of the season. But we see it. We see it. Roll the dice. My cousin Johnny.
Johnny's so rich that he asks stupid questions.
Very important, essential, vital question for you. Toilet paper. Under roll or upper roll?
There's only one way for toilet paper, Johnny.
In what kind of world do you live that you have to ask this question,
why?
Johnny?
You understand what he wants us to talk about what he's doing as a job right now. He's in sanitation, right? He's selling sanitational products.
You know what the joke's gonna be on him? Because now we're gonna trump this question. We're gonna pull a president. We're not gonna answer your question. You know what? No, are you gonna answer that question?
We're not gonna answer it because we want a sponsorship to answer that question.
You want a sponsorship?
I want them to sponsor us. Cleaning products. You heard it here, Jack.
There we go. Because you guys all know the answer. You. Eddie Milanista, his first question is Kessie a player for the future? Should we sell him to fund a move for another player like Bakayoko? Also, the same question applies to Suso. What do you guys think we should do with him? I'm gonna rephrase this because I like this question from Eddie, and then we're gonna get to a second question, which is another fantastic question, like my cousin Johnny. Steve, if you had to, and I don't want you to go with the easy way out. You need to sell a player that will finance the guys like Bakayoko or maybe a premier player to come in, but he's got to be a player that is the best ratio for talent for money. Like like Montolivo is not an answer.
No.
Like who do you think has the best bang for buck that could bring us in and we could afford to lose him?
To be very honest with you, I'm gonna go with Suso.
Okay, how much is Suso? If he continues playing like this, how much is Suso worth at the end of the season?
I don't know how much he's worth, but he has a $38 million clause.
Okay, so you 30 million they would spend on him? Somebody would spend 30?
I'm pretty sure they would.
Okay, 30. How about Kessie?
It depends. I think he's a player for the future. I think he just needs time. He is very young. We've been patient with people who have played much, much worse than him. And I think there's far other people or a combination of players to sell before you're selling Kessie.
Yes, but I think if somebody comes along between 40 and 50 million for Kessie, guys, I'm sorry. The fact that Bonaventura's coming back, the fact that it would finance a Bakayoko.
Bonaventura is coming back with a major knee operation, and it's not the first time that he's gotten hurt. I don't think we can play Champions League football with someone with one leg. He's going to be an important part. He's another one who's going to have to learn how to know. He's going to have to know his role.
Okay. And Eddie wants to know pizza or lasagna?
Lasagna.
Why?
Pizza's pizza.
Lasagna, you could be so creative. You could have seafood lasagna. You could have
lasagna bianca.
Lasagna bianca. Ci può mettere bacon. Ci può mettere.
As we, I'm a carnivore. You're a carnivore, but we touch the vegans as well. You can have
a nice vegan lasagna. No, because I zucchini in the definitely lasagna. Definitely lasagna. Is again, Eddie, is Paquetá being utilized correctly at Milan? I think we spoke. He should play higher up. We spoke about that, Eddie. Thank you for asking the questions. Ricardo Connetta. Ciao ragazzi. Hope Montreal is treating you well. I like this one. Steve, if Vinny turned around one day and told you he was now a Juventino, could your friendship survive?
No.
What do you mean no?
No.
You wouldn't be my friend anymore. No. You're friends with Francis.
Yeah, but he never changed.
That's a good point.
He was always a snake. Tomorrow he's going to be on the bus. He's going to be listening to this. He's right. I can't believe it.
Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't. It's like I never understood a guy. I don't know if you guys have friends wherever you guys are from in the world. Do you have those people that switch teams? We have a guy here in Montreal. He went from Juve to Milan to now he's a Roma fan. And it's like, I don't get it. I get our friend Vince Gattuso that him, it could be, the Parma, the Fiorentina. No, but this guy went from the big teams.
Vinny is just he's like the Scarogna of fans. Like if you like, he liked Parma, they went bankrupt. Then he likes Roma. We don't know what's gonna happen to Roma yet. Like he's put on a Fiorentina polo. I've seen him with a Fiorentina polo, and it didn't go too well for Fiorentina.
But Roma, he's been sticking with Roma for the last couple of years.
And that's why they've won absolutely nothing.
Mezzi from the Milan Club Montreal. Since there's no Milan this week, I feel like talking about Mercato. What are the players you want Milan to buy and sell this summer? I want names. He gives us. Guys, we're not going to give you the Montolivos or this or that. Selling, if we had to make one choice, Steve, you would still go with Suso?
I would still go with Suso. And for me, Mezzi, we've talked about it. I agree with Tommy as well. I like the Barellas. I like the Chiesa. I really, really like the Chiesa. I
Chiesa,
really like
yeah.
the Chiesa because it is a position where we struggle. And I think that he has a bright future. I see that he has La Grinta playing with Fiorentina. He plays for the shirt. He's gone through some tough times. He's had some bad games. Plays national team as well. You know, Barella is interesting as well. He plays with a smaller team. I would like to see how he reacts with a bigger team. Do I want to gamble? It's gonna cost a pretty penny because he's playing well.
And guys, it's not because they it's just like everybody. Oh my God, Keane scored. The future's here, guys. Are you serious? Are you, like, get a grip. It's one game, right? And if you're not gonna bring back a guy like Balotelli that's been scoring since he got over there, but you're gonna bring on Keane that played what 6 minutes at Juventus. He's a fantastic player, yeah. But don't pretend that he's the next coming of Christ if we haven't seen him play a lot, right?
He's good.
I'm not saying he's not good. I'm just saying let's stop over dramatizing goals and he's the next coming of Christ. That's my opinion.
There's Medzi. I know we've talked about it a couple of times. You know, there's Saint Maxime from the French league. I'm curious about these players. Do I want Milan to sign young players? Yes. Do I want to gamble with some of these players? Maybe not. You know, there's the other youngster from PSV.
The name that you're not.
The name I'm never gonna pronounce properly. He looks very dynamic. You know, PSV does play in the Champions League. Yeah, I would like them to sign some players, and I would like, you know, there's Mappe as well. Not Mappe. Yeah. No. Depay, and these guys there. It's a gamble, guys. The Mercato's a gamble. I love it. I love the rumors. Are we going to sign all these players? Probably not. But we could have the Mercato, guys. We could talk about Mercato during the international break. If you don't have money, you cannot buy anybody. We have to concentrate first on the Champions League, and then we could start buying.
Thank you for the questions. Tapiwa, long-time listener. I know he puts the comments on YouTube as well. We appreciate... Where is he from? Let me check from over here. Where is he from? He doesn't say on this thing. So Tapiwa wants to know, what would be your preferred starting lineup for next season if you had to choose right now? Only being... Actually, you know what? Before I get to his question, you want to ask Tommy who he would sell?
Who he would sell and who he would buy.
Okay, that's it. Guys, let's just give him a call right now.
Good evening.
Tapia, we're going back to you. I don't think I forgot. We gotta change the laptop. This thing is kind of like an engine with all this noise it's making. Can I smoke live? We can't smoke live on the show. We can't smoke live on the show.
No.
Hello?
Good evening, Mr. Tommy.
Good evening, guys. How are you?
How are you this fine, beautiful, cold night of March here in Montreal, Quebec?
Yes, sir.
Tutto a posto? Oh, Tommy wants to
I
get...
had a question for you guys tonight.
Me, I called you to ask you a question, and you want to ask me a question. Go ahead.
Okay, last week we spoke about, Milan getting into the Champions League with the financial fair play and everything. And you guys said that you didn't care if Milan was going to be booted out of the first week, not even passing on the first round, as long as they get into the Champions League.
And we even mentioned it again today with our guests. Yeah, that's where we stand, yeah.
So if Milan plays really bad, and really gets booted out of the Champions League in the first round, you guys have to be moody. Nobody has to talk.
Just the way you should be moody that Juventus passed when you said they weren't going to.
Oh.
Hey, did I say anything?
Yes, you
I
did.
said, hey, Juventus will not win the Champions League.
Okay, but you know what, Tommy? Let's not talk about Juve. Let's not talk about me. I want to ask you a question. Hypothetically speaking,
Go right ahead, sir. Go right ahead. It's a pleasure.
If you had now, I want you to speak with your business hat on, right? If you needed to sell one player, and the player that you have to sell for next year, it has to bring you back, value for money. Who would that player be? and that money, who would you go pick? Would it be let's go with Serie A, right? Serie A players, something that we would need, and we're not looking for the outsell Montolivo or Mauri, a player that might be on your starting 11 that you could afford, to lose, and who would that be?
Sousa
Steve
and Çalhanoğlu. But I could actually tell you 3 players that I could sell on my starting 11, and I wouldn't be happy to see them go. I would be actually happy to see them go and get revenue.
Who?
And these are very, very easy. Çalhanoğlu, Sousa, and Kessie. Even though Kessie, I wouldn't have. That's gonna hurt a bit, but I mean, look, these 3 players to make revenue, it's probably these 3 players. But if I only have to pick one, I would go with Sousa.
And with this money that you would get from these 3 sales, who would you purchase?
In Serie A, let's go with something easy.
No, not in Serie A.
I would purchase 2 players. I saw Barella and Chiesa. And did you see what an amazing goal Barella pulled with a Nazionale this weekend?
Okay, Tom, we're playing.
And even the guy that was where I was listening was an English channel, and the man that was giving the game, he said that Barella actually plays with heart. That's what I like about this player.
Yes, but it's one game.
Goes out there and gives it 100%, and he's young. He's only 20 years old.
I understand that. That's why I think everybody's getting way too excited for no reason. And we played Finland of all teams, right? And let's be
yeah, but still, I mean,
it was
look,
1-0.
Ticket about a year and a half ago.
Yeah, but
we struggled beating teams like Faroe Islands.
Oh yeah,
I mean, look,
for that
you have to start. Poco. Rome wasn't built in a day.
For that, you're 100% right. We came a long way, but I think people are getting way too excited about Keane and Barella. But I think you were saying the same thing as our guest and Steve. Suso for a Chiesa. I think Chiesa can become a game changer, especially off the wing. Long are the days of we're bringing in Alessio Cerci. And he's gonna, guys, you remember that, Alessio Cerci? How much did we pay for him? 20 million, I think? 15, 20 million?
Something like that.
Oh my God.
That was horrible. Man.
Yeah, that was pretty bad there. So, Tom,
yeah, but look, we even spent it over 25, I think it was 25 million for the guy who was sitting on the bench.
Bertolacci.
Bertolacci.
Who?
Bertolacci.
Yeah, Bertolacci.
Yeah, it's
Bertolacci.
We need to forget about these bad signings. But Tommy, the true question before we let you go: are we seeing you next Saturday?
Next Saturday, most probably you will see me. I'll probably be there, but I'm not sure yet because something might come up. But I'm more sure that I'm going to be there.
Well, let's put it this way.
Let's say at 80% of it, I should be there.
To our YouTube.
But one thing I have to say, ladies and gentlemen, did you guys enjoy the way Juventus lost last week to Genoa? Oh, you see, the only team, just put this on the record, okay? The only team that went 58 games straight in Serie A without losing one? Who is it, guys?
Milan, obviously.
Milan, and who was the coach? Fabio Capello.
Yeah.
So, on that thing, I say, look, these guys could say whatever, INVG, but Immortali, whatever they want to call themselves. The record still stands. We own it. They have to win a whole season, and even more half a season, without losing straight, and then they could say, well, you know what? We could get close to Milan.
You've heard it here from Tommy first. Thank you very much. We will bid you adieu.
Well, guys, it was always a pleasure. Like I said, you guys are awesome. And the podcast is numero uno.
Thank you, Tommy.
You guys are the best.
You created yourself quite the following as well. Thank you very much, and buonasera lei.
Buonasera, sir. Thank you very much, guys.
Ciao.
Ciao.
I'm like, how is he gonna bring in Juventus in this conversation? He went back. He went back a week.
He went back a week.
Tapio was saying, what was your preferred starting lineup for next season if you had to choose right now, only being given room for maybe 2 real estate transfers max, which we spoke about. Then he's saying, please keep up the great work, gentlemen. Thank you very much. Starting lineup, I think you would replace a Suso with a Chiesa if Suso keeps on slumping. I don't know. I think I would try, Steve. Honestly, maybe a 4-2-3-1. I don't know if that would work. Well, what do you
Looks
say?
like we're getting back Andrea Silva too.
Yeah, because he's not getting any. Then you would do what? If you could rotate between 3 strikers,
He's gonna have to start looking at the 4-4-2.
Well, I don't have a choice from over there because now maybe take
4-3-1-2.
Ooh, I like that one. What else do we have? We have Francis's question here. Let's have a look at what Francis. He forgot to put the hashtag, so he retweeted himself.
Yeah.
He's got a point, the snake.
Yeah.
Isn't comparing Piontek to Sheva a lazy comparison, just like some people compared Lautaro to Gabigol? Sheva was absolutely world class. Do you think Piontek could even reach half of Sheva's accomplishments? Francis the snake. It's a legitimate question. I think it was way too early. I think Sheva obviously didn't do it on purpose to come out like that and say. But one thing that I think is not going to bother too much, because it seems that Piontek doesn't care. Like, he's like, yeah, I'm here for the pressure, and he never seemed to. I don't know, but will he ever reach Sheva's accomplishments?
I hope so.
Hopefully. Would I bet on it?
Probably not.
No. But so who compared Lautaro to Gabigol? I think he's getting this out of these Sempre Inter websites or anything like that. Guys, the search is over. This is a song, and we're going to continue doing this whole thing. Guys, I hope you enjoy this interactive kind of thing. I hope we get some more questions next week.
Big shout out to our man, Michael Lisi.
Yeah, he's giving us
sent us a nice tweet out where where on his blog
he put us
Forza
over.
del Leone put us over hard and bad as one of the podcasts that he cannot miss.
Mille grazie.
He also strategically positioned himself to be as a guest for a two-time guest.
We'll see.
So thank you, Michael, for that.
And before we let you go, guys, the indigestion of the week. Actually, I do not know about this, but Presidente, during a live broadcast of Italy's 5th Division soccer, commentator Sergio Vesicchio made a sexist remark regarding women linesmen working the game. He said, it's disgusting seeing women who referee in a league where teams spend thousands of euros. The Order of Journalists in Italy have suspended them indefinitely. No kidding. And it's unfortunate that the country is still sexist and racist, but what do you want to do? Steve, do you have any indigestions of the week?
No, I'm good.
Brioshki, the feel-good moment. He also played in the second half on the friendly versus Chiasso, a second division team from Switzerland, but the result was positive. It was nice to see Caldara take the next step in his process to return to Milan as a starter. It is a good sign, but how many times have we seen this? He's getting back into it. He's getting back to it. Are we even going to see him anytime this season? But it is a feel-good moment. I think the Milan Gloria was a feel-good moment of the week.
I agree.
And seeing Gattuso act Gattuso, and
the best was Galliani. Seeing Galliani, guys, we could make fun of him with the newspaper from 2007. Guys, we could say whatever we want from this man. This man really used the money that Silvio had at his disposal to the best of his abilities.
Before
financial fair play. Whatever it was, whatever you want to say, near the end, he did not have the money, still tried to keep us competitive. Yes, we can make fun of all the signings that we had, but deep inside, this man's blood there's a little black in the red.
Still over an hour with no Milan game this week. This is where it's at, guys.
I hope you guys are driving long today.
Ovunque e sempre.
Forza Milan!
Salute.